Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leslie Zarita, and I'm one of the leaders here at LifeSpring. So this morning, as Fran mentioned, we don't have a sermon. Instead, we're going to tell a story. And I get the privilege of introducing the video that's going to tell that story. Most of you here today don't really know much about this story. The story that you know of our church is a story of the last few years where we took the road less traveled to a place of finding a more beautiful Christ and of seeing and loving all people and becoming a radically different church. But this story is going to tell you a little bit different and answer questions about what we did in the 20 years prior to that. Because you're probably wondering, what in the world were you guys doing for the 20 years before that? We're going to tell you some of that. Our story is going to begin by a glimpse at a small group of people from a small church in the suburbs who had the crazy idea of doing something in a forgotten area of the world. I've had the privilege of being able to be part of this adventure and to going to that forgotten place. An old friend of ours, Tom McCluskey, who used to be an elder in our church, who then bailed on us and moved to South Carolina, he used to say about LifeSpring that we're a little church with a big footprint. You're going to see just how big of a footprint that's been. I think you're going to enjoy this story, and I think you're going to be amazed. Let's watch it.
LifeSpring used to be part of a denomination called the Churches of God, and Linda and I first went to Haiti because the director of missions invited us on kind of a look-see trip to visit their churches there. I think we expected to see poverty, but not the level of poverty we witnessed. But we also didn't expect to be so captivated by the beauty and humanity of the people.
How many times have you been to Haiti?
I'm not sure exactly, maybe 110, 120.
But not for quite a few years now.
We haven't been there for maybe 6 years because of all the political and gang violence. It's just too dangerous for Americans to go.
Is it violent where New Life for Haiti works?
Most of the time, no. But to get there, you have to travel through Port-au-Prince, and that's very dangerous these days.
Before we start to tell the story, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is that all of this amazing stuff that has been accomplished in Haiti came out of this church, out of LifeSpring. But LifeSpring has changed and grown, and most people at LifeSpring know almost nothing about New Life for Haiti. So what's the deal with that?
Well, two things happened. One was that New Life for Haiti went through a bunch of transitions. For years, we were all volunteer. I directed things, but we had a great board and tons of people who pitched in. But eventually, the work became so big that we were overwhelmed. So we hired a couple of people, and that was good in the beginning. But we went through some staff changes, and some of that was difficult. And then it got harder to bring the stories back here because we couldn't go to Haiti with all the violence. So lots of changes. And the other part of that story is that with the pandemic and some of our evolution at LifeSpring, my own focus had to be 100% on LifeSpring and on having LifeSpring survive financially. So I and we as a church were not able to focus on or invest in New Life for Haiti very much for a number of years. And now it feels like it's time to connect this new LifeSpring Church with the amazing thing we birthed in Haiti, which is still happening.
The list that played at the beginning of this video, schools, clinics, clean water, training teachers and pastors, it's impressive. How did this whole thing start?
Well, through those early trips with the denomination, we became friends with a missionary couple, Steve and Jolene Moore, and we worked with them in a couple of different parts of the country. And LifeSpring folks would come on these trips with us to help with different projects. One of those trips, we even helped to build a hospital. But eventually, we really felt the Lord was telling us to pick one place in Haiti and really invest ourselves there. So in 2006, I went down to the city of Jeremy with Tom and Lori McCluskey and two friends from other churches, and we wandered into the countryside looking for a place in desperate need. And the problem with Haiti is that almost everyone is in desperate need. But there was one place, the Grand Anse River Valley, that people kept telling us was exceptionally poor. So we spent a couple of days with Steve and Jolene going up and down the river road, talking to people in the villages. And at the end of the week, the seven of us looked at each other and we said, yeah, this is the place. And I still remember that on that last day, we were standing at the little airstrip waiting for the 19-seat plane to come get us. And I got talking to a Catholic woman named Barbara. She had a team that had been doing a clinic out in that area that week. And she said to me, what we really need is a builder who can add on to the building we're using so we have a place to store medicine and wash instruments and all that kind of thing. And Steve Moore was a builder. So I took Barbara's hand and I led her over to Steve, introduced them and said, Steve, this is Barbara, and she needs us to build her a building. And we did.
So for those who don't know, how do you get to Haiti? And where in Haiti is this area where we work?
Well, you fly from Chicago to Miami, and then from Miami to Port-au-Prince, the capital. And then you fly to the end of the peninsula on a little plane, or if you're lucky, you get to do the whole trip in a pickup truck, or if you're really lucky, you get to do the trip on a Haitian bus with the goats and the chickens. A couple of times, Felix and I did the last leg several hours over the mountains on a little moto.
So the little clinic building was the first thing. Then what came next?
Well, all these villages out there that we encountered, they had these schools operated by Haitian churches. And a lot of them these schools were just thatch roofs held up by poles made from 3-inch tree branches. And I wanted to start building these people's schools so that they'd have better conditions in which to educate their kids. But Steve and Jolene insisted that we build a house first so that they could move from the city out into the valley. And I was a real pain in the butt about that, but it was the right call. So we built a house for them first, a house for them and for teams to stay in that we call Caibo Riviere, which in Haitian Creole is the house by the river.
But then over the years, New Life for Haiti did build 6 schools for those little villages and did medical clinics, teacher and pastor training, got clean water into villages, helped the agriculture, and on the list goes. How did those things happen?
Honestly, when I look back over these years, it's a miracle. I don't know what else to call it. It was our LifeSpring eldership team that decided that we were really going to jump into this. And the night we made that decision to do that, someone on the eldership team asked, do we have any money to do this stuff? And the answer was no. So we decided to pray and throw a party where we asked people, church people, friends, neighbors, co-workers, to give to help these people. That New Life for Haiti Gala became an annual event for years and years, for a long time, out at Benedictine University. At that first gala, we raised $25,000, but over these 25 or so years, something like $3.5 million has come through New Life for Haiti.
And lots of teams over the years?
Oh my gosh, we have taken hundreds and hundreds of people to Haiti to help in all kinds of ways and just to see Haiti and enter their world.
When you started LifeSpring 33 years ago, did you ever think something like this would be a part of it?
I had no idea. I had never really been anywhere in the world, and we were just going to start a nice little church in the suburbs. If you would have told me all this would happen, I probably wouldn't have believed it. When I walk through these villages, Marfranc, Rivière-Mahon, Plique, Plaine Marie, I hear people every time yelling out, Pastor Fran, Pastor Fran, and it still surprises me, and then it makes me smile.
So what is life like there?
Life there is very remote, beyond what Americans can really imagine. Very poor, dirt floor huts, no electricity. You haul your water from a spring or from the river. Maybe that water is good. Maybe it makes you sick. Success is your kids eating once a day. The average family lives on less than $400 or $500 US a year. Maybe your kids can go to school because there, even the public schools cost money. And there's almost no medical care. So a guy's out farming and he cuts his leg with his machete, which is his farming tool, and he dies because there's no peroxide to clean the wound. There's no antibiotics. And then beyond all these, there's the government corruption, the violence, the poor infrastructure. But the people are wonderful. There's nothing like being with the poorest people that you've ever known and laughing with them or getting a warm, sweaty hug from them or sharing some rice and beans with them or listening to them sing to God from their deepest soul.
There's been some adventures, yes? Tell us about some.
Been more adventures than I can count. We've had trucks and motorcycles almost slide down mountainsides. I've had pickup trucks stuck in the Grand Anse River at least a dozen times because there's no bridge. So you're always asking, is it too deep? Is it not too deep? Felix, our field director, and I have thrown sick kids in a pickup truck and driven to the other end of the country because we heard there was a surgeon visiting from the U.S. who could maybe help that child. I've been shaken down for bribes by corrupt customs officials. A few of us were held hostage during a national crisis. And I've eaten a lot of fried street food that I couldn't quite identify.
And then there have been natural disasters.
In 2010, a massive earthquake happened that was centered in Port-au-Prince, but which sent shockwaves all the way to the end of the peninsula. As many as 300,000 people died in one day in that earthquake. Because the capital was devastated, a lot of people ended up wandering back to the villages they came from. So out in the Grand Anse, we were not only rebuilding homes, but treating people medically. I ran into a guy on a path in the hills who had an 8-inch long, very deep wound in his leg because he was in a building in Port-au-Prince that collapsed. I had no idea what to do for this guy. There was no doctor anywhere near us at that point. So I went back to the house and I got supplies and I cleaned and disinfected the wound and I stitched it closed with a needle and thread, which scared the you-know-what out of me to be doing that. But he found me a year later. The scar was nasty, but it was all healed up.
And then there was the hurricane.
Yes. On October 4th, 2016, Matthew, a Category 5 hurricane hit. And the villages where we work were right at the center of it. Matthew's top speeds were estimated to be 165 miles per hour. One woman told me that she laid down on the floor of her house in the middle of the hurricane and the trees were flying through her house like missiles. And then she said, my house, which was made out of big rocks, my house flew into the sky. I got down there with two friends, Scott Darengowski and Kenny Sharp, a few days after the hurricane. And when we got to the Grand Anse, all the trees were sheared off 10 to 20 feet above the ground, and there was barely a single green thing left anywhere. Now, this is a lush tropical landscape. There was a little grass left, but it looked like someone took a giant flamethrower and just burned over the whole landscape. And of course, the villages were destroyed. Houses were destroyed. People in Marfranc came and huddled in our mission house during the hurricane, which stood, but Felix told me afterwards that it sounded like a train coming right through the house. And the ceiling fans in the house, we had ceiling fans in every room, they were ripped off the ceiling, they flew out the windows into the sky and were never seen again. When we got to the house, the three of us, a few days later, no one in the valley had eaten for 4 or 5 days. And I asked the young men who work for us, what is everybody saying? And they told me, everyone is saying that we'll be dead in 2 weeks. So the next day, we drove into the city, and I walked into this store where I knew the people, and I said to the owner and his wife, I want to buy all the food in your store. I'll have trucks here tonight. I had taken $30,000 US dollars with me, and I literally had Linda, my wife Linda, and Brian and Leslie Zarita wiring me as much money every day as Western Union would allow. And we always say that you never walk around in Haiti just giving money away, but it rained for another 30 days after the hurricane. And when we hiked through the mountains in the rain, and I saw people literally just living in the mud, I just started handing people wads of cash and telling them, if you can find food, if you can find a tarp, here's some money to buy it. It's the most heartbroken I've ever felt in my life. And of course, again, we rebuilt homes the best that we could. Thankfully, along the way, New Life for Haiti kind of became its own thing, its own ministry with more people and some other churches involved. So we have had help as we've tried to help people there.
Tell me about the School of Hope.
Well, we built these 6 other schools across several years, all of which were run by local Haitian churches. And one of the things we realized over time was that the quality of education they were able to offer was not that great. That was one reason we started offering teacher training and teacher conferences to help the teachers learn new things and learn better teaching methods. But we also had this idea of starting our own school with Haitian teachers and Haitian administration, but where we could set the standard for the education the kids got. We had no idea if that was even possible or even legal for us to start and operate a school. So Felix and I set up a meeting with the Minister of Education. His name is Jean-Marcel Gentil. And after I pitched our idea to him, I asked what he thought, and he said, you know how the schools are out there, so when can you start? And this is kind of funny. I asked him, what do we have to do to be legal, to comply with the law, to start a school? And he said, just go get the school open, and then I'll print you up a paper. And we shook hands, and that was it. And once we decided to do that, we had to decide where to build it. So Felix and I looked at several locations, but we settled on a valley called Rivière Mahon. All the schools were on one side of the river. So even if the kids over in that valley could afford school in flood season, they couldn't cross the river to get to school, so they would rarely finish a grade. When we surveyed the area, that area over there, we discovered that the adult literacy rate was 2 or 3%. So 2 or 3% of the adults could read at all. So we bought a piece of property and we made plans to start a free school. Today, there are, it brings me such joy to say it, there are 270 students who attend the School of Hope from pre-K to 10th grade, and it is the best school in the area.
And the Village of Hope?
The Village of Hope. So for years and years, Felix told me we need to open a home for kids who had no one to take care of them. Some of these kids were abused, or they just had no parents, no family, or they were restivics, which is a form of kind of like child slavery in Haiti. And I resisted doing this because so many of those kinds of places, these kinds of homes in poor countries, are either scams or they just have lots of issues. But Felix kept on me and finally convinced me that if we did it, we could do it right. So in 2018, we built and opened the Village of Hope right next to our mission house, Caibo Rivière. It's a safe place for kids who have been neglected, don't have parents, been placed into domestic servitude arrangements. We have staff there, we call them mamas, who take good care of them. These kids have good soft beds, they have good clothes, they have nutritious food, and they even have their own school. Right now, I think there are about 15 or 18 children who live there, and it's really pretty amazing.
We had heard some of Milen's story and about what happened, how her mother and father passed away. And I wanted to get to know her a little better and see, you know, if there was something that we could do for her. And when I sat down with her, as soon as I mentioned her mother and father, she just fell apart. The tears just ran down her face, and she buried her head in her skirt, and she just sobbed. And this little girl who is normally so composed, you just saw this massive reservoir of pain and this sense of abandonment inside her.
At the risk of asking a simple, blunt question, how does all this get paid for?
I know, when you describe it, it's so much. It gets paid for by people who donate and by people who sponsor children through our child sponsorship program. There have been some big donors along the way, but it's mostly individual people who have decided that changing the lives of these beautiful children is really worth it.
I just have to say again that this is amazing that all this came out of our church, and in the years when the church was smaller than it is today.
Willing hearts, big God. I have no other explanation.
What else do you want to tell people?
Well, I want them to meet Felix because he's been with us for the whole adventure, and we could never have taken this journey or done all this without him.
Hello everyone, my name is Felix Brazia. I am the field director of New Life for Haiti. Today, you heard the story of how God used Steve and Jolene and Pastor Fran and so many friends to come here. We have had so many adventures and we have accomplished so many good things. But now we need you, and I hope God has touched your heart to help my people here. There are always so many needs, but I know if you help us, we can do so much good, and we can help so many children and family. And I know if you help us, it will make God smile. And thank you for everything that you do. God bless you.
Eyes, ears, mouth, nose, head, shoulders, knees, toes. Seriously?
You know, the truth is that you're sitting in a room this morning with a bunch of people in your own church community who have been a part of this adventure, who have been to Haiti multiple times and been a part of this work. Marnie Van Wyk is here, who was our first official staff and very successful director of New Life for Haiti. And I got to tell you that even though I've been in the middle of this from day one, being a part of putting this video together and planning this morning, I find myself sort of blown away. I mean, this all came out of this church when this church was a third or half the size that it is now. And how that really happened and how, you know, I'll tell you a story. When we first decided to build our first couple of schools in Haiti, we didn't have this building. We were meeting at Droughton Point Middle School, and there were people in our church who were mad at me because we were going to build schools for kids in Haiti before we built ourselves a church building. They said, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be putting our money as a church into getting ourselves a church building. We shouldn't be doing this. And you know how church people can be. And it kind of hurt my feelings and stuff, and then I sat back, and I and our leadership team concluded that doing something for somebody else before we built ourselves a building, especially for kids in an impoverished place like Haiti, was probably exactly what Jesus would do. And so, you know, this amazing thing that we started, it's still going strong, even without our being able to go there for the last 6 years. It's still going strong because of Felix's leadership, and we have a whole staff there. But it's also facing some real challenges at this point. There have been a lot of transitions, and I am determined that we will not abandon the children and families of our beloved valley that God planted us in. And so, you know, New Life for Haiti has been through a lot of transitions. One thing it needs now is for our church community once again, to become a strong and faithful partner in all of this. And I have no doubt, when I watch what God is doing at LifeSpring, I have no doubt that we can do that. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Perhaps it'll be different ways that many of us will give and many of us will help. We'll figure that out as we go along. But this morning we wanted to tell you the story. I do want to tell you about 2 opportunities this morning that you could get in on if you want to. The first is that we have a fundraiser coming up right here at Mojo's in downtown Plainfield on Saturday night, October 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. There's going to be a band. The food is provided. It'll probably even be like rice and beans. That'll feel very Haitian. So The food is going to be provided. You just have to buy your own drinks, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun, especially if a bunch of us from LifeSpring would go. The tickets are $50, and you can get those tickets by either scanning the QR code, or you can just go to our website, yourlifespring.org, scroll down, and you'll find a link to that. But would love for you to come out on Saturday the 18th and share in that with us. The other opportunity I want to tell you about is that if you wanted to sponsor one of the children in Haiti in our beloved valley, you can stroll out to the cafe after service, and my friends Mike and Katie will help you do exactly that. It's not that expensive, it's simple to do, and you will change the life of that child and of every child in the classroom that they're a part of. So it's a simple way that you could make a difference if you wanted to do. We used to say it would cost you McDonald's money. And then child sponsorship got a little more expensive, but now everything's more expensive. So I think I can say again, it's McDonald's money. LifeSpring over the last few years has really become a new church. You all know that. Something different and more beautiful than we could ever have imagined. And what we wanted to do this morning was take this new LifeSpring church that's been birthed over the last 2, 3, 4 years and reconnect it with this amazing thing that this community birthed in a forgotten valley, in a forgotten country. And I wanted to bring our new church and New Life for Haiti together again and say, let's go for a walk together. And with that, I really just want to say thank you for allowing us the privilege of telling you this story this morning. It means a lot to me. And we're going into communion, right? So you just get more of me because I'm doing the communion liturgy this morning. So as we come to communion this morning, we remember our brothers and sisters in Haiti. The Lord be with you. Lift up your hearts.